Weekly, GarageBand, GarageBand Weekly, GarageBand Weekly. Need an answer to your question. John, you'll have a suggestion. He's a fountain of all knowledge. I think he might have gone to GarageBand College. What he doesn't know, we'll try and find out. So join the chat and give him a shout. Here's John. Here's John. GarageBand Weekly.
Yes, it is time for GarageBand Weekly on Studio Live today, and in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about what GarageBand on iOS can do that Logic Pro cannot. Yes, believe it or not, there are a bunch of things. I've got a list of more than 7 things that GarageBand can do that Logic Pro for iPad can't. Why can't it? Are they going to change it in the future? Who knows, but that's what we'll be going through. We've got a couple of little bits of news and notes as well as your questions, because we are interactive here on GarageBand Weekly. In fact, if you've got a question, all you need to do is put a big Q in front of your question, and I will tag them and we'll answer them as we go through the show, and we'll have some time at the end, I'm sure, for any final thoughts and questions from folks who are here live. Speaking of folks who are here live, let's say g'day to a few of them now. Hello to Mr. Mark Bro, Robert Latzer, g'day Thomas Christ, hello to Weary Pirates, ahoy there, Tommy Jack Music is here, as is John Swanson, the Jade Star in the house as well. Thank you all for being here, and if you've got, again, any questions, any comments, go ahead and chat, because we're interactive. If you're not here live on the show, don't worry, we love our replay viewers just as much. You can leave your comments down in the description area, and down there you'll also find links to things such as my GarageBand FAQ. Yeah, if you go to studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand, you're going to find my FAQ. We got a whole bunch of links to all of my tutorial videos. We got links to all the great communities like the GarageBand Users Facebook group, where you can go and hang out and have a good old time. So, what's been going on around here? What news and notes do we have? Well, nothing really in the GarageBand world. Logic Pro for iPad is still gaining steam, and a lot of folks are enjoying it. I've just about finished my first song in Logic Pro for iPad, so that is nearly done, and I'm hoping to get that one finished in the next couple of days. I've got a video that I recorded just before this one about the way that I attack my final mix, and you might say, Pete, didn't you master it a couple of days ago? Well, I did, but then I went out and listened to it, and I don't know about you, but I go and listen to my song, and then I always find a few things that I'm like, oh, that vocal just needs to automate up a little bit there. Oh, that string sound needs to come down a little bit there. So I made some final tweaks, and you'll be able to check out that video. That'll be here on the channel in the next couple of days. So we'll finish off that song. My new song called Boom Boom from Righty Doki that we created right here on the show is also out there in the world. So you can find that at petejohns.com, as well as all the other music that I create and release using DistroKid, wonderful sponsors of this exact channel. So yeah, go and check that one out if you have not heard it. It's a bit of fun. We made it using the 8-Bit Legends chiptune pack right here in Logic Pro. I'm getting my Logic Pros and my GarageBands. Using GarageBand. So if you haven't played around with the 8-Bit Legends chiptune pack here, it is super duper awesome. Oh yeah. So we use that and a lot of those sounds to create my new song, Boom Boom by Righty Doki. And the final bit of news that I'm going to throw out here is that, Amazon Prime Day. It's already started here in Australia. We've started seeing some deals. I nearly bought a television earlier this morning, 65-inch Philips for like $800. 4K, yeah, anyway. But yeah, Amazon Prime Day is happening. So tomorrow, right here on the channel, we'll be having a live stream at this exact time as well. Actually, a little earlier. We'll be doing that at 8:30 a.m. my time, by the looks of it. I didn't realize I'd set it for then, but that's okay. So if you are in the market for buying some new gear, some new kit for your home studio, you can do it there. And if you want to get yourself ready to rock and roll and know where to click and how to do it, studiolivetoday.com/gear is the gear guide. That's where you can find all of the links to all the gear that I use and recommend in the home studio. And if you use those links, they will break off a small chunk and send it to me. And you will be able to get the same price, but I've got to be careful how I word this. I can't say that you will be supporting me in the channel, but I have to tell you that I'll get paid a commission. Go figure. So thank you in advance for that. All right. Yes, there's Thomas Christ, and there is the gear guide. Thank you for putting that. And if you would like to make a donation, you're more than welcome to use the super chat and super stickers here on the YouTubes, or you can, of course, go to the PayPal link down below. A few other folks have joined us here. Al Davis Music. We've got Leela. Hello to you. Hope you're doing well. We've got Afro Dobbs. We've got Brad Example. I saw in there, and I've got a question there from Weary Pirates, which I'll tag for our question and answer that we'll get to in just a jiffy. Alrighty, so we will dive into our main topic in just a minute, but if you do have any other questions, I'll answer this one from Weary Pirates, and then you can ask your questions, and if we don't get time to answer them in the next 2 or 3 minutes before our main topic, we will return to them afterwards. So Weary Pirate says, should I do my mastering in Logic or GarageBand? Great question. As someone who has just mastered in Logic Pro, I actually really loved it. So we'll do a really quick demo here for those that may have missed the last Logic Pro show, in case you wanted to check this out. So we are in Logic Pro. Yep, there we are. Where is my project? It's changed my view here. Logic Pro for iPad. It is my in progress, and it's 1 moment, and it's version 1.9. All right. So the cool thing. So GarageBand mastering is really difficult because you've got no metering, so you don't know where even your peaks are, let alone your LUFs, your loudness units, full scale. So the killer feature, in my humble opinion, of Logic Pro is 2 things. You have a stereo out track, so you've actually got visibility of what your overall mix levels are going to be like. And then on that stereo out track, you can add plugins. So you can add compressors and EQs and, of course, a limiter, because you'll need that for your mastering. But you've also got a loudness meter and a level meter that you can add into your master chain. And this is a bit of a game changer, because when we come in here and we start playing our project,
come and I wish that they would go now.
I can monitor not only my stereo out level here, but my level meter on both the left and the right, including my peaks, and a loudness meter, so I can make sure that my master is going to be radio ready when I'm done with it. So can you still master in GarageBand? Yes. Is it easier and more possible to get a more accurate and master in a quicker time frame using Logic Pro? Also yes. So again, for free, GarageBand is still pretty darn amazing, and I would still not have a problem doing it. It just, with mastering in GarageBand, you kind of have to bounce out your masters a couple of times and then do some external monitoring. So I normally throw it up into loudness penalty and put it into audio share to see what the levels are peaking at, and then see what the LUFS measurement is like. So yeah, if you're not pedantic, you don't care about that stuff, it's not actually that much of a problem. But yeah, there's definitely benefits from doing it in Logic Pro. Hello, Andrea. I hope you are doing well here today. And hello to Frosted YT. Thank you for joining us. And Rena, hello. Welcome aboard. To everyone who is joining us. Ed Zielinski, g'day. Haven't seen Ed Z around for a while. Hope you are doing well. Yeah, look, again, do the free trial if you haven't already, and play around with it. You'll probably love it. It's got a lot of potential for, and again, with me in this song, just to give you again a little bit of an inside scoop into what we'll be looking at in the next video here on the channel. Yeah, I used automation a heap, and the panning automation and the volume automation is super easy to use and super useful here in Logic Pro. And yeah, even things like being able to split your drummer tracks out to MIDI drums straight away. Like there is a bunch of stuff that Logic can do that GarageBand can't do. However, Hello Music by Imani. Hello to you. And hello Princess LDG. However, our main topic today is What can GarageBand do that Logic Pro can't? You believe it or not, that there is actually a heap of things that GarageBand is capable of that Logic Pro for iPad for a bunch of different reasons has not actually been given the functionality to do so. So we're going to go through each of these in the video here today on this show. And if I miss anything, then please do come back and leave a comment down below and ask your questions if you're here live on the live stream, because maybe there's things that are in there that I don't even remember or that I don't recall. The jam sessions one that's coming instantly to mind. But yeah. All right, so let's kick in here and start with instruments. So there are, believe it or not, a heap of instruments that we have here in GarageBand iOS that we simply don't have in our Logic Pro for iPad. The number one ones being our world instruments. So as we scroll through here, we've got these. We've got the pipa, the erhu, the koto, and the guzheng. So we're going to create ourselves a little bit of a world instrument track here, because I thought, since we have these, let's use them. So let's grab our pipa to start with. So the pipa here is a 4-string kind of, is this the one they call the Chinese banjo? It's a very sort of banjo sounding instrument here, and we can use it either here in notes mode or in chords mode. So if we go into the chords mode, we can actually play along there. Now we are going to do something in C major here for you, and this actually leads us to our second feature. And we kind of jump around a little bit here, because the second thing is autoplay. So yeah, you'll notice here that we've got these options here to turn autoplay on, and we've got 4 different levels of autoplay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If we tap on those, drag across. So we can select autoplay, and with autoplay on, if we tap, and with a lot of these, if you tap with 2 fingers, you get a variation. It doesn't seem that that's the case with the pipa here. Now we're going to go with something a little bit simpler here, because I don't want to create something that's going to be super intense. Oh, I've realized I've showing a few tracks there. I'm going to delete those. So that was me playing around with this before. We'll go back into the pipa here. So we'll just go with autoplay 1 here to keep things simple. And what we'll do is we'll just record in. We're going to do a little 8-bar loop here today. Just something a bit interesting. Let's hit the record button. Hit C. There you go. So we've just done a simple C into a G and into an F, using the autoplay here and using the pipa. So in terms of creation, there's 2 things there. You've got an instrument that you don't have that you can play in a unique way here, or you can use your chords mode and use autoplay, which is something that Logic Pro does not have, because as Logic Pro users are just too professional. Let's show you some of the other cool instruments that we have in here. We'll hit the plus button here. We're in the world instruments. What about the erhu? This is like the Chinese violin. So we can play it just like this. Again, we can go to chords mode. We have autoplay that we showed before. And these have some cool things. Like, look at all the stuff down below here. You can actually manually control the vibrato by moving this up and down and playing that with one hand. You've even got this weird horse thing. Instant trill. And there's actually a dude here in the city in Adelaide, in Rundle Mall, who plays an erhu. And I've always wanted to go and chat to him. So maybe you tell me if you'd like me to go and chat to the old Chinese guy that plays the erhu in Rundle Mall, because I think it would be kind of fun. All right, let's... All right, so I'm going to play along. I'm going to play along an erhu part to this original pipa. Let's try this. Tap it off. So there, you can see that it's hard to edit these tracks because you're literally sliding up and down. If you come in here to the MIDI note data, it's like, oh, it's one note. So it's not exactly that practical to sort of edit your notes in here, but that's not really the point. The point here is to have fun playing around with these instruments. All right, let's move on to another instrument, shall we? We'll hit the plus button here and add ourselves in another one. We've got the koto, which is the Japanese instrument. Very cool, yeah. Again, we've got chords mode and notes mode. So let's see if we can play something along with. What about the autoplay? Let's see if the autoplay one of this will work in with our original autoplay. Let's get the record button. Now, I think we did, what did we do? We did G, F, and then back into C. All right, let's see if this is going to work for us. With the record button, and hit on C. Yeah, maybe not. So it may not work perfectly together because all your autoplays aren't going to sit right in the mix. But we'll experiment with those as we go along here. So there's our koto sound. Sounds really nice with the erhu, doesn't it? So maybe the peepa misses out. We got one more in our world instrument, and that is our guzheng. Yeah, my pronunciation is probably not perfect. So again, another instrument that's kind of fun to play here. So what we can do, and these things are actually available here in Logic Pro, but we can use our major pentatonic scale here. You can change this to like the Japanese scale if we were playing along with something. So but I think we made our koto using the pentatonic scale. So we'll go back to that one and we'll let's see if we can go up and down a little bit here. So my playing was a wee bit on the dodgy side there. But again, we've got things like autoplay. So if we deleted that out and we wanted to go with something a little bit easier, let's just let's see if we can go with like the autoplay number 2 on this and see if this will line up with our original. Now, are these going to be some sort of instruments that you're going to practically use all the time? Well, no, but are they a heck of a lot of fun? Yes, they sure as heck are. Now, we are going to return. There's a couple more world instruments that are actually hidden away that I'm going to show you in just a moment, but I'm going to keep that in suspense while we show another couple of things that we can do in here, because there's actually, believe it or not, a bunch of other instruments. So we can actually go in here and hit the plus button here. Now, these are kind of hidden away, so a lot of folks don't know where they are. But if you come in here to your keyboard and your more sounds, down the bottom here, you've got this other section. Now, not only can you do cool things like play your guitars, play your world instruments, play your bass guitars, all of those ones using just your standard keyboard. If you don't like the interface that you have for your guitars or for your strings or whatever, you can play them right here. There's also a bunch of other cool instruments that we have in here, such as the flute, the clarinet, the oboe, the bassoon, the French horn, and the brass ensemble. And in fact, the French horn itself actually sounds really cool. And it's not an instrument that's available in Logic Pro. Now, it's not all bad, because if you're creating GarageBand and you want to throw your projects over to finish them in Logic Pro, if you put a French horn in your GarageBand project, it will actually be compatible. So there's a pack you can download for Logic Pro for iPad that's the GarageBand Compatibility Pack, and that has the pipa, the koto, the guzheng, it has all those instruments, but you can't add them and play them in Logic Pro. But if you add them in GarageBand, you can shimmy them across to Logic Pro, and they're good to go. I know the orchestra folks are filed away in other. All right. Let's see. Yes. So have you tested what happens if you import a project with these world instruments into Logic iPad? I did really early on, and they come in. So you can, because there's full compatibility between GarageBand and Logic Pro, they bring them in, and they bring them in as just a standard MIDI patch. So just a virtual instrument patch into Logic Pro for iPad. You can't control them the way you can. You can just control them with the keyboard. But excellent question, and thanks for allowing me to clarify. Because it's one of the first things I tested. I'm like, hang on, if there's instruments here, what happens when you bring them into Logic Pro? And that's what happens. All right, let's play a French horn part to go along with our very strange little stuff here. There's our nice French horn sound. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? We just need to fix that note. Let's come in here and edit that and fix the note. I think that's probably where it wants to be. I really don't like the sound of that pipa. Sorry, pipa, you're a bit too intense. We're trying to create like a nice pad here, and the pipa keeps going ding, 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 which is fine if that's the vibe we were going for. But we'll mute it out for now so we can. I'm not going to lie, the brass kind of works well with that. Is it just me? I think it's pretty cool. All right. What else have we got here? So we've played autoplay. We've tackled some of our world instruments. Now, here's the thing. If we want to build this out into a full song, a full arrangement, there's something that GarageBand has that Logic Pro simply does not, and that is song sections. Now, you might not even have explored song sections much, but if we tap on this very weird little plus button in the top right corner, we can jump into the song sections section. We can either add a completely blank section, or the cool thing I like to do when you're building up a track from an idea like this is to hit the duplicate button. So we'll duplicate out a few sections here. Let's make this a 24 bar little section. And we'll go 32. I like even numbers. So you can see there that we've now got sections A, B, C, and D. And we can view either each individual section like that, which will zoom into just that section and it'll play and loop back that section. Or we can tap in the top here and go to all sections and view everything. But the beauty part of this is if we've got a track here. So let's just say that we start with what are we going to start with? We'll start with just the erhu. We'll delete out the koto, and we'll delete out the guzheng. Let's just start with this nice erhu and French horn. So we wanted to build it up like this. There's our intro, and then we're going to come in here. But then we're like, actually, I kind of want it to start with this and then go quiet while I maybe do some vocals or a melody over the top. Well, song sections allows you to rearrange immediately. You can come in here, you can edit, and we can just shimmy section B, put it at the top there, and look at that. In one swift move like that, we've rearranged this track. Now, you're going to use this all the time? No, not really, but it does help you out with a lot of things. Well, I found it really handy to separate out your track. You got your verse, your chorus, your verse, your bridge, your outro. It does make it a little bit neater and more organized, and I kind of fell in love with song sections, and I use them all the time. And then I started in Logic Pro for iPad, and it doesn't exist. So that's a little bit frustrating, but what can you do? Hey, all right. So that is your ability to use song sections, and we'll use them for the rest of this track. Let's look over at the other options that we have here. I mentioned some other world instruments, and let's add those now because they're not in the world instrument sections. They're in the drum section. Yeah, have you found these? Have you found the world instrument drums? Under your more sounds, and here under your percussion, you will find two kits. You'll find the taiko drums and you'll find the Chinese kit. Let's take a look at the taiko drums to start with. These are fun. So you've got a whole bunch of different drum sounds that we can use here. We'll turn these up because they're a little bit softer, but yeah. You've got a little cymbals there. Little stick taps. You got your big kettle drums. Whoa. And yes, the two-finger thing is back. So what do I mean by that? Well, you can't really see it here, but I'm holding down two fingers on this. If we hit it with two fingers, it's going to give us a solid beat like that. So two fingers, we spread the fingers apart, speeds up. So we can really sort of build it up here. Let's see if we can use this. So let's hit the record button. Oh, come on, record. We're going to tap it with two fingers. Now I'm going to spread my fingers apart here at the 5 bar. Again. So we could use that as a cool little intro here if we solo it. Nice. How cool is that sound? So we can get a nice little sound there. And that works with all of your bass drums and your kick drums, by the way. By tapping with two fingers, it's going to give you that kind of four on the floor kind of sound with that. And it works on your snares and stuff too. So just tapping with two fingers. Right? So taiko drums, pretty fun. Play around with those, enjoy them. Again, not going to use them on every project, are you? But there's fun. There's good times to be had. Let's hit the plus button. Let's add another drum track because you probably saw we also have this one here, the Chinese kit. If you're looking for a gong, I got your gongs. There's your gong. There's your gong. Turn these up again because they're a little bit quieter than some other instruments. Volume up. Okay, that one's not quiet. Sorry. So let's just add in a little. Let's add in a gong because we have to at the end of this. Ready? Ready for the gong? Oh, I missed it. I hit it, but I didn't hit it hard enough. So that's okay. We can come in here to the MIDI. We can tap. We can edit it. And we can increase the velocity because I didn't hit it hard enough. Let's go into the... Oh, come on. This is really hard. I'm going to have to use my fingers because... There we go. Again, just for fun. We've woken up Mark. Good stuff. All right, so we'll bring it here and let's have a listen. Building up. There you go. So fun to be had with our world instruments and our world drum kits here in GarageBand. Now, there is a feature that we have in GarageBand that is sort of there in Logic Pro for iPad, but not quite as useful, and that's our merge feature. So merge can be used for a bunch of different things. It can be used to normalize your tracks, which is to bring the volume up to 0 dB. It can be used to merge multiple tracks into one stereo track. It's a powerhouse of an option. Once you start using it, you'll work out you can use it for everything. So let's give you a bit of an example here. Say that we are running out of tracks, or we really want to merge together some of these sounds. So we've got the erhu and the koto, and we've got the guzheng and the French horn. In fact, because we use these two together, let's just shimmy this one. We'll move our horn up the top here. Let's say we know that this erhu and French horn are perfect, and we want this to just become our sort of our two things that are going to be playing throughout the track. Well, let's just say that we wanted to, say, pan them a little bit left and pan our horn a little bit right. And we now want to bring these together into their own track that we can then manipulate together. We just tap on this one, we hit the merge button, we select the tracks that we would like to merge together, and then we hit the merge button. And what this does is it brings these two tracks and it merges them down. And you can see there that going to the left and the right there. So it brings it into one stereo audio track that we can now manipulate here. So if we play here. And what it actually does behind the scenes, if you think, oh no, what if I lose my MIDI data? Well, you don't need to stress, because it actually makes a copy of your track behind the scenes here of My Song 5, now has My Song 5 copy. So you can always go back and revert back to the original version. But the merge is actually such a good feature that a lot of people have asked me, where's merge in GarageBand Mac? Where's merge in Logic Pro Mac? You don't really have it. You can bounce in place, which does a similar sort of thing, but you can't actually do any sort of merge where it's going to automatically do all the cool stuff for you, like normalize your track and bounce it back into your track. And you can even do things, so if you're getting to the point, someone mentioned mastering before, say I was completely happy with this entire track, what I could actually do is just merge all of these down. You'd probably duplicate it first, but it does actually create a copy. So we can merge all these tracks down, hit the merge button, and now we've got one stereo master file. Once it finishes merging, there's our entire track. So now we can just use this, and we can come in here to our plugins, we can throw some reverb and echo on there, we can use our compressors and EQs and limiters on that one track to do our master. Cool. So we will undo that. There we go. Control Z, by the way, for your undo. Command Z. Sorry. Or there's your undo button. And you can actually redo things. Redo, it's the same on Logic Pro, so this isn't one of the tips, but an extra tip, if you tap and hold on your undo button, you've got your redo options there as well. So another cool thing is the merge feature there. Now, something that has got a lot of people's knickers in a wee bit of a twist is that there are in GarageBand iOS 2 ways to use external apps to add external instruments into your GarageBand project. In Logic Pro, there is one, and that is Audio Unit V3, AUV3 plugins. So you're probably aware of this, but if you want to use an instrument that is external, you can come down here to the external button and you can hit the Audio Unit extension, and then you can say, I want the Numa player, and you can throw the Numa player on here and you can record it straight in. And the cool thing about this is when you're using AUV3, we can record it in, and it's going to give us the MIDI data for that recording. So we can record in any of our instruments. Someone mentioned a sensual sax before. If you're looking for a great sax plugin, I highly recommend sensual sax. Let's come in here, AUV3, and we'll grab the sensual sax, which sounds... We need to add the love, don't we? Let's see if we can get a cool sax part to go along with this. Bang! I'm sorry. the laughter will tie into the last thing I'm going to talk about here. But yeah, so it's cool because you can use your external instrument plugins here, and again, you can adjust your MIDI, you can move them between different instruments, and it's all good. But there are some instruments that folks love using that do not have AUV3 support. They only support IAA or inter-app audio. Now, there's hacks, there's workarounds, there always are, of ways that you can use, say, inter-app plugins, but you will need an intermediary. You can't use inter-app audio directly into Logic Pro like you can here in GarageBand. So for instance, I want to use the steel guitar from Yonak here. App's not available. Huh. Why is that one not available? Let's just find a different one. See, most of mine you can actually use. So I really don't have much that you can't use, but let's just pretend that iSymphonic was not available. If we load up iSymphonic here, you see it's going, you're running iSym in inter-app audio mode. By default, the inter-app audio mode's MIDI data is received in this mode. Do you want iSymphonic to listen? Regular MIDI core? Yeah, let's just go with that. And you'll notice that the key difference here is that we're in a completely different app. So to record, we need to come out here and then go back to our app. Uh-oh. Where's our MIDI panic? Central Sax got stuck. Like Kenny G has that problem every morning. He wakes up and he's like, no, not again. He's just like, so you'll see that immediately the key difference here is that when you're using IAA or inter-app audio, it's going to record it in as an audio file, which means we can't change this now. It's stuck. It is what it is. Whereas our Audio Unit V3, it actually links into the app. So instead of just recording directly from the app into GarageBand, it links to the app and then it runs it. Now there's advantages. It doesn't use quite as much memory for a lot of the time for inter-app audio because it's actually recording it straight in there. But yeah, here's the news. Apple have deprecated, or they've announced about 3 years ago, they announced that they would be deprecating, which means removing, phasing out inter-app audio support. And they've clearly shown that that is the case by the fact that they have not added it in at all to Logic Pro for iPad. So the short version of this is that if you're using apps that only support inter-app audio, you'll either need to use a workaround to use them in Logic Pro, or you'll record them in something like GarageBand or Aurea or Cubasis that does support inter-app audio, or reach out to your developers and ask them pretty please with cinnamon sprinkles on top to change their app and start supporting AUV3, which has been around for as long as I've been doing this channel. So AUV3's existed at least 7+ years. So at this point, I've got to say, I don't like to play the blame game, but there's really no excuse to not have an app as an AUV3 plugin. So that's my little hot take on that one. All right. Getting hot in here. Getting hot with the sexy feeling. Yeah. How do you rub sounds into the dirt? What does that mean? That's something that I say a lot. So usually it means to add some drive or some distortion or some harder compression. If you want to hear what something being rubbed in the dirt sounds like, use the Rough Rider 3 plugin from is that from Audio Damage? But it's a plugin that's a compressor that adds a little bit of grit. The reason I say rub it in the dirt because it makes it a bit gritty, a bit dirty, a bit gravelly. So whenever I say rub in the dirt, it's just my my weird way of saying add some distortion, add a little bit of drive to change it up. So if we come, why can't I find the Rough Rider? There it is, Rough Rider. It is Audio Damage, Rough Rider 3 from Audio Damage. So if we use this on this sax. So it's just going to make it a little bit grimy and a little bit rougher. It's going to compress it, but it's going to add some color to the sound as well. So whenever I say rub it in the dirt, it's usually related to that. Yes, as Thomas says, add chaos with distortion. A distortion doesn't have to mean as in like clipping distortion, bad sounding distortion. Like remember that old analog gear, that warmth you get from like a record player, that's actually technically distortion. That's saturation is another. It's not the same thing. Saturation and distortion. We could go on a whole big rant, and I don't even know enough about it to give you a good explanation. But yeah, it just means that you know how digital things sound a bit too clean sometimes. That's why I say rub things, especially virtual instruments, they sound a bit too clean. Like that string sound you get, the too clean string sound from a virtual string, sometimes a little distortion, can make it sound more like a realistic string sound. All right, autoplay, merge, world instruments, song sections, your other instruments, your inter-app audio support. You've also got some other instruments that have some cool interfaces here. So you can actually play a guitar by playing a guitar. This is something that you don't have in things like Logic Pro. So if we go to the guitar, we can open it up here. We can select a guitar. So let's go like the Retro Wah, my favorite guitar. And let's play in some guitar. And yes, you do have to move your mouth up and down when you're playing a wah pedal. It's just the law. So yeah, is this the greatest guitar performance? Not really, but it sounds kind of cool, doesn't it? I may have wound my way too much a little bit there. And again, you can use chords modes, you can use notes mode. So if you're a guitar player and you want to like... You can virtually shred on a virtual guitar right here in GarageBand. The other instruments you have that have their own unique interface is your strings. So again, it does actually make it a little bit harder to play, in my humble opinion, but it's kind of fun to try and learn how to play, because The Simpsons. So for someone like me that's played a fretted instrument all their life, trying to learn how to... And you can actually put your finger in the wrong spot there and play the wrong note. But I really like, say, the cello here, I think. So let's just record in the cello part. I've got my guitar solo there. We'll delete that out. Dang! And you've even got pizzicato. So that's the cool thing. If you hold down on the bridge, is that called the bridge of a string instrument? I think so. We'll tap there, and then if you tap out here, you can either bow to get some nice attack and release, or you can tap to get your little pizzicato, if that's how you like to roll. So your string instrument interface in GarageBand is kind of cool. And a different sort of interface to play around with. The last, and by no means least, feature that I actually think GarageBand has it all over on Logic Pro for iPad is management of your external files. Yeah, now... I'll preface this by saying that GarageBand does not have the best method for this, for managing files, but it has a method for managing your external files, which is you have the GarageBand file transfer folder. So in here, I've got, I've cleaned mine out recently, but you can see here that I've got some files, some WAV files, some MP3s, whatever you want to have in here. You can put all of these in here. If you want to add different files, you can browse your files app here. And if we just search, say, WAV, let's just find some WAV files. Some random stuff. I don't know what any of this stuff is, but you can bring stuff in. actually, it doesn't really matter what I bring in. Why am I caring about this? So I want to bring in this whole song Anxiety. So we just hit the button there, and that's going to, oh, see, that's in the cloud. That was a bad idea, Johns. Get your stuff together. Let's just come in here and bring this one in. This is my song One Moment. So you can bring a whole WAV file, you can bring MP3s, you can bring whatever you want in here, and you can preview them from here. That's a bad one because it's got a big lead in, but you can preview. And if we want to bring them into our project, you'd literally just tap them and drag them straight into a blank track. From all within the app of GarageBand. It's all in here. It's just sounding awful now, isn't it? Let me turn off some of these because it sounded okay before and now it's just a mess. So you can bring them straight in from there. You can use your Files app to add things to here as well. So if you wanted to jump out and go into Files, you can actually access this. So if you go to the On My iPad, the GarageBand for iOS, your GarageBand file transfer folder just sits here. So you can throw in your own samples, you can throw in your own audio files, and you can use them directly in there. So for instance, if we just wanted to grab something, have I got anything in my downloads that we can do? Yeah, let's just grab this this audio file here. We'll grab my podcast. So say I wanted to bring my podcast in here. All I need to do is copy it from wherever it happens to be, come here to my GarageBand for iOS, my GarageBand file transfer folder, and then just paste it here. And the same thing if you're downloading stuff. So if you download something, just put it in here. Now the limitation is you can't use folder structures in here. So everything is in the default folder. So if you wanted to get a whole sample library in here, not going to be the easiest thing to do to navigate around, but it's still integrated. And I'll show you what Logic Pro, see, there you go. It pops straight up there. So you can bring that podcast in. Are you successful? Well, are you? Are you? Answer me. So you can bring your files in like that, as compared to Logic Pro for iPad, which has none of this. So the only way here in Logic Pro for iPad to bring external files in here is to do something that requires a lot of effort here, which is to go to your Files app. No, it's not actually that bad. Go to your Files app, tap up the top here, use your slide over, come back to Logic Pro, and then slide your files over from there. So it's just a bunch of extra steps to actually get the same thing done. So yeah, look, is it a game changer? Is it going to ruin your life? No, not really, but it's just the fact that they decided, like they've had GarageBand file transfer folder forever, and I thought with Logic Pro, why don't they just have the Logic Pro transfer folder? And even better, why don't they improve it? Why don't they make it a folder that you can actually partition out with different folders so that you can have like your one-shot samples in one and your loops in another and your file exports in another, and just be able to have control and be able to manage everything. Now, what someone has said to me, and I don't know because I haven't kept up with the iPadOS updates, is that they've said, well, there's a big files update coming to iPad in iPadOS 17. I've seen and heard nothing about it, so I don't know. But I can only imagine that maybe they are going to improve it. But to me, it's a missed opportunity to just have, even if it's not perfect, just have a simple implementation, just like you do. And again, the even sadder thing is that Logic Pro has an amazing browser. So it has this great browser over here that actually has everything else. All your presets, all your plugin presets, your audio patches, your loops, your samples are all here, but none of them can be your own custom samples. Yet you can have things like custom audio patches and custom instrument patches. So why don't we just have my loops, my samples? I can only imagine that maybe like a version 1.1 thing is going to add that sort of functionality. Because at the moment, for anyone that uses any sort of external sounds, you're kind of SOL at the moment. Alrighty, let's go with one more thing that GarageBand has. And you've probably grasped this by the fact that I've been laughing and having a good old time with what we've been creating here today. And that is simply the fun factor. Yeah, there is nothing more fun than experimenting with random stuff in here. So many people, like I hear so many tracks now that have the erhu on there because it actually sounds really cool. And especially if you turn the If you turn off the vibrato, it actually works as a really good pad. It sounds like a really nice sounding string pad to put under your tracks. I've heard kotos in tracks, I've heard gujangs, and I've heard people using the taiko drums to create like big symphonic kind of sounds as well, like to get the... It really just, it works perfectly for a touch screen because you can use your different touches to actually like create some dynamics in what you're playing in there. So in terms of having fun, I still haven't had a day in Logic Pro that I've had as much fun as I often have playing around in GarageBand, because you just experiment, you just find some things that are different that work out for you. So fun is our final thing. So again, just to reiterate, what have we got? Well, we've got the autoplay, we've got the merge, we've got all your world instruments, you've got song sections, you've got the other instruments like your French horn and your brass ensembles, you've got your interfaces like your strings and your guitars, you've got inter-app audio support, you've got a file transfer folder, and you got fun. That's it. That's what we got in GarageBand that Logic Pro simply doesn't have. What do you reckon? Is there anything I missed? Is there anything that you like about GarageBand and will stop you from making the big switch, apart from the finger thing means the money? Speaking of which, Wild Rose CC, thank you super much for the kind donation. I appreciate you big time. You don't know how important it is to, especially at the moment. Like, there's a lot going on in the world. I mean, if you look at Meta, they've got their new Threads app, which is out there in the world. It doesn't have any advertising on it. Now, you might think every time you see a platform that doesn't have advertising, or every time you celebrate and cheer that there's less ads when you're watching a YouTube video, yeah, unfortunately, the flip side of that is some of your favorite creators. We keep our lights on because there is advertising on our content. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword with that sort of thing. So yeah, do I agree and like the fact that, you know, the multi-billionaires are not getting multi-billionaire? Yeah, but unfortunately, us folks that suckle on the teat, so to speak, of the Metas and the Alphabets and the Amazons of the world. Yeah, would you believe, like, of all of my stuff? I mean, Patreon's a bit different, I guess, but Amazon affiliate sales, we do a lot of those, and advertising on YouTube. And unfortunately, just due to situations and due to the economic climate, there's not a heap of advertising happening on YouTube anymore. And if you are seeing ads, that's usually for more generic things as to more specific things. But I say all that to say thank you big time to Wild Rose CC for the donation. It means a lot. Righty. Yeah, well, attracted all of a sudden to a GarageBand, I hope. Is that a picture of me as a kid? Oh, that's my daughter, who said my background of my iPad was really boring. So she said, I will fix it. So she took a very zoomed in picture of herself. Just check Logic. 8-Bit Legend. So all the sound packs. So the reason I didn't mention didn't mention sound packs is that the sound packs are exactly the same. So every sound pack that you have here in GarageBand is indeed in Logic Pro for iPad. So you're not going to miss out on any of the sound, even the weird ones, even the Track Girls and the Oakfelder and the 17 grids and things like that. As far as I've found, everything is over there. Plus that GarageBand compatibility pack that can help you. Yeah, exactly. Just playing around. Just play around and have some fun. Another thing, good point. Excellent point, Mark. Another thing, and I didn't even mention that. I've mentioned this in previous shows, but iPhone compatibility, older iPad compatibility. Yeah, these are things that Logic Pro simply doesn't work on. My old iPad Air 2, no thing. And look, I think what was I going to say? So yesterday I was out walking around and I was listening to the mix down of my project from Logic Pro, and even though I said at the start of this show, don't be too tempted to grab your actual project and start tweaking while you're like on the go or while you're doing things. But for some things, like those little bits of automation, just to hear what that would have sounded like, I would have loved to have been able to just grab that on my phone to open the Logic Pro project, zoom all the way in, do my automation. Now, I know why they can't do it, because the knobs and the dials would be too small, but knowing that the processor in this phone can easily run, this is only an iPhone 12 Pro, but it's still got a processor that would qualify to be able to run, because it's got like the A14 processor. It made me a little bit sad that I couldn't actually do that on the go. Whereas with GarageBand, I always had that option. I could always, regardless of what project I had in GarageBand iOS and my iPad, I could always go to my iCloud Drive, open it up on my phone, make a couple of little tweaks, and we'd be good to go. Or even record into the project if I had a little idea for something. Like I could just do some do-do-dos and some da-da-das over the top. So yeah, not having the iPhone support is a little bit of a hassle. Not going to lie to you. Good old Elon. We were having a conversation last night at the dinner table because it's how we roll in my family. And we were talking about all these billionaire guys. And it was like, it's Zucks and Elon. And my daughter was like, why isn't it not Elon and Mark or Zucks and Musk? And I'm like, yeah, I guess because it's got to be unique. Like Mark, you could be anyone. A bit like Jeffrey. Like we know if you're talking billionaires, you're probably talking Bezos. But there's only one Bezos. There's only one Elon. There's only one Zucks. So yeah, you got to go with the name of that means it. By the way, what upgrade version do you have in order to get Logic? iMovie says at least 6.1. What upgrade version? I'm not quite sure what you mean. To get Logic, as in like 16, yeah. So you'll need iOS 16.1. You'll need the latest version to do that. The advertisement will come soon. Yeah, I know. When I go back and tweak the ads afterwards, Mike, I'll put an ad right there where I'll be like, "There's no ads left on YouTube." It's like Masterclass can help you learn all the things about the stuff. Yes, GarageBand for iPhone, iPad, Logic Pro, iPad only. Exactly. No, you're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you. Hello, Emilio, by the way. Hope you're doing well. My iPad Pro is compatible. It's only 2. Yeah, that's the thing. iPad Pro, what is it? The iPad Pro, you need the 3rd generation, 4th generation. LogicIPad.com. It's there. If you need to find out the information. Oh, yes, it's a PP in my DP. Hello to you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. All right, so yeah, I just wanted to finish off by letting you know once more that tomorrow we have a live show. I'm going to put a link here in the chat in just a jiffy. And look, I know some people don't love these shows because they're like, oh, it's John's the corporate Amazon shill at it again. But the way I look at this, the way I look at these Prime days and eBay Plus days and all these deal days that they do, is you might as well take a squiz. Like if you want to look at it as getting your revenge against the big companies by giving them less of your money, then do that. Because I know you can have your own stances on things. I know some people simply won't buy from eBay because they don't like the company and the culture. Some people won't buy from Amazon because they don't like the company and the culture. That is totally cool. Some people don't use any Meta product. Although it is weird how many people are on Threads that hate Facebook, and I've got a feeling some people don't actually know that Facebook, Instagram, and Threads are all the same company. They're all taking all your data and they're all going to use it for all of their different platforms. So yeah, it's you cannot hide from this stuff anymore. But I say all that to say, join me tomorrow and just have a bit of a laugh with me if you like. Why not? And just see what you won't buy, because there are some good deals. So let's to give you a bit of an idea, because we are in the future here in Australia. So if you go to amazon.com.au and check out some of the Prime deals, it's going to be plastered all over there. We've got epic deals here. You can see like the TV. This is the thing. Little things like memory cards, like guitar strings. These are the sort of things that they... Only one left in stock. Oh, no. These are the sort of things... Is that 400 gigabytes? 400 gigabyte micro SD card. Holy dooly. But yeah, so you got the Prime Day deals. You can dive in here. We can look at these. You can separate them out by, say, musical instruments. So let's have a quick squiz at anything that might be interesting here. What do you got there? Save on Shure, Pioneer, KRK. That all looks pretty good. Let's see what deals they got there. Look, you've got a deal. You got 43% off the SM7B. What? The MV. Maybe I need to trade him the microphone I just bought for the MV7 because the Procaster I bought needs too much gain for my setup at the moment. So okay, so you got some Shure stuff in here. You got Pioneer. You got KRK. So KRK Rocket speakers and KRK headphones as well. There, you got your Shure headphones. So there's some stuff. It's not without good deals this time around, because some years 2020 was light on. There really wasn't much of interest in 2020. But yeah, strings, things like accessories, things like guitar strings that you're going to need anywhere, cables, like if you need some XLR cables or you need some stereo cables, all of that sort of stuff. We're going to spend an hour scrolling through this stuff, taking a look at what's on offer, and we're going to do that live here on the show. What is Prime Day? Just stuff you don't need on sale. That's it. Yeah, if you can give a big thumbs up there. And that's the thing, don't buy what you don't need. But if you go, like, for instance, you'll need guitar strings if you're a guitarist for the next year. Why not buy them at 34% off if you use Slinkies or if you use Elixirs and you can get them at a cheaper price and stock up. Batteries. I don't know about you, but I'm always using batteries and I'm always going through a heap. So just, yeah, even if you're not buying a new thing, something shiny, sometimes just the boring stuff that you can get for cheaper can actually be good. Or you can get some acoustic sheep sleep phones because everyone needs sleep. Actually, these things look kind of cool. Maybe I do need that to wrap around my noggin when I go to sleep. All right, we are right at the end time here. I did want to say a big thank you thank you to Adam. Thank you for your donation. And Apple products, no. So to answer your final question, Emilio, very rarely do you find Apple products on Prime Day. Occasionally, last generation laptops, so MacBooks. So now that the new MacBook Air M2's out, you might see some MacBook Air M1s on there that they're just trying to clear stock on. But very rarely definitely not any brand new Apple products. I've never seen those on there. But yeah, your mileage may vary. Who knows? Tomorrow, maybe brand new iPads might be on there, but usually a generation or two behind. Yeah, so thank you again, Adam, for your kind donation. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for a great weekend of live shows. We've had an excellent time. I've had a lot of fun, and now it's time for me to go and get ready for another big weekend. And I'm working on my day off tomorrow. So we'll see you for the Prime Day Showcase, Pete's TV Shopping Network, hitting the airwaves tomorrow. So I'll see you on that one, as we say at the end of each and every show. Please be kind to yourself, be kind to others, keep creating, and I'll see you next time here on Studio Live today. Bye.